Donc j'appelle maintenant la prochaine intervenante, Wendy Wiertz, qui vient de Leuven, en Belgique, qui va parler anglais, mais elle comprend le français, donc elle pourra accueillir vos questions en français. Elle va parler du soutien des hommes pour l'égalité des chances pour les femmes à l'Académie royale des beaux-arts de Bruxelles, à la fin du XIXe siècle. Elle s'intéresse à l'histoire de l'art féministe, elle s'intéresse à leurs alliés masculins et précisément à Joseph Stallert, qui était président intérimaire de l'Académie royale des beaux-arts de Bruxelles, qui a plaidé justement pour qu'un cours officiel de peinture d'après modèle soit proposé et mis en place dans l'institution. En 1896. Wendy Wiertz, pour vous la présenter, est une chercheuse postdoctorante à l'université, on dit KU, de Leuven. Voilà. Elle vient de recevoir la bonne nouvelle qu'elle était Visiting Fellow pour l'Oxford Center for European History. Et elle oriente ses recherches sur le soutien américain apporté aux denteliers et dentelières belges lors de la Première Guerre mondiale. Elle a commencé ses recherches aux États-Unis grâce au programme Fulbright, que peut-être chacun d'entre vous connaît, après avoir soutenu sa thèse sur les aristocrates artistes amatrices femmes en Belgique au XIXe siècle, au début du XXe siècle. Je lui laisse la parole pour 20 minutes. Merci Wendy.
Merci. Good afternoon. My presentation will be in English. I feel a bit more comfortable in that language, but all the juicy talk will be in French, so beware for that, the citation. So, thank you very much for the invitation for today. I am really glad with all you here present. It shows that there is a real necessity for conferences about women artists. Doing my PhD research about aristocratic amateur women artists in Belgium during the 19th and early 20th century, I often consulted literature on feminist art history. Feminist art history has rightly celebrated how women, like true sisters of the brush, surmounted themselves many obstacles to become professional artists. Less attention has gone to the men who were women's allies in the struggle for equal education and professional opportunities. Yet, in publications about women artists, these men are often mentioned as teachers, colleagues, art critics, and patrons. Often, they were related to these women, being their fathers, their brothers, or their husbands. In my presentation today, I focus on the advocacy by Joseph Stallert for an official nude model painting class for women at the Brussels Royal Academy of Fine Arts in the late 19th century. In order to succeed, Stallert needed to apply for money from the City Council of Brussels. It was them who subsidized the academy and thus a possible nude painting class for women. The correspondence between Stallert and the City Council about the subject is kept in a folder entitled Cours de peinture pour jeunes filles and preserved in the archives of the city of Brussels. This correspondence has been transcribed by former art history student Joy de Smet, and together with her, I published earlier this year a first analysis of the letters in Cahiers Bruxellois. But today, I explore with you the role of Joseph Stallert and the City Council through these letters. And they clearly demonstrate the arguments and tactics of both parties in favor or against women learning to paint the nude and thus preparing for an artistic career. They also reveal opposing views held by men about women's education and the latter place in society at the turn of the century. But who is this Joseph Stallert? I'm trying the other one. Perfect. Joseph Stallert was born in 1825 in a family of merchants, and it was absolutely not expected from him to become a painter. His father actually wanted him to follow in his footsteps. But son, being in his puberty, age 15, decided, I want to be a painter, and I'm starting lessons in the studio of neoclassicist painter, former pupil of Jacques-Louis David, and Brussels Academy president François-Joseph Navet. Of course, he couldn't go yet against the wishes of his father, so he combined the two. But after the death of his father, Stallard turned entirely to painting. He enrolled in the Brussels Academy and officially became Navet's pupil. In 1847, he won the Prix de Rome and stayed in Italy for 5 years. Upon his return to Belgium, he received large commissions and became president of the Academy of Fine Arts in Tournai. Some 20 years later, he moved back to the Belgian capital after being selected for the position of teacher of drawing and painting from nature at the Brussels Academy. He held this and other positions at the institution for the next 30 years. In 1895, already at an older age, following the death of Academy President Jean-François Portals, Stallard became interim director and was appointed some 3 months later as head for a 3-year term. Finally, he was in a position to do something for women. The Brussels Academy was founded in 1711 and shared with the one in Antwerp the position of most prestigious institution in Belgium. Women could enroll since 1889 after decades of petitioning and after several decrees in favor of their presence by the Brussels City Council. The admission conditions, teaching package, and the organization of the courses have been investigated in catalogue essays by Georges Meyer and Gisèle Enleger-Zingue in the exhibition catalogue Académie Royale des Beaux-Arts de Bruxelles, 275 ans d'enseignement, the catalogue essay by Sabine van Kouwenberghe in À chaque sa grâce, Femmes artistes en Belgique et aux Pays-Bas 1500-1950, edited by Katelijne van der Stichel and Mirjam Westen, the book chapter by Marianne Sterks in Vrouwenzaken, Zakenvrouwen, facetten van vrouwelijk zelfstandig ondernemerschap, and of course the book Femmes artistes en Belgique, 19e et début 20e siècle by Alexia Kreuzen. These authors all related how women initially were permitted in all classes in Brussels, and they even joined their male fellow students in painting the nude. And that is absolutely unique, not only in Belgium, but also in several other countries. In Belgium at that moment, most academies had not yet opened their doors for women, although these occasionally allowed exceptional women to enter unofficially. The Antwerp Art Academy also admitted women since 1889, but immediately separated them from the male students and offered them a restricted program. Brussels, in our minds, seemed like a dream. It wasn't for long. Most authors that I mentioned before, they say the start of official women's nude painting class started in 1896. However, the discussions around the topic and an earlier unofficial start of the class are only received in the letters Cours de peinture pour jeunes filles that we discovered in the archives. From these letters, we know now that the women were already in a class of their own in 1892, so 4 years before the official date of the nude model painting class. And why was this? And I quote Stallard. Autrefois, les jeunes filles suivaient le cours dans le même atelier que les jeunes gens. Monsieur Portals, he was at that moment a president, estimait que depuis l'introduction des jeunes filles, le cours de peinture avait décliné. Il n'osait plus donner des modèles d'hommes non habillés et par conséquent, le nu ne faisait plus la base de l'enseignement vraiment classique. End quote. However, Portal's problem at that time was easily solved. There were just too many students in the room, so he split them according to the sexes. He installed the women in a badly lit studio and left them to themselves. He more or less forgot about them, and for the next 3 years, the class merely vegetated. A picture from these years shows young female students in a nude model painting class. We do not see the model here, but you can imagine if you look at the painting on the easel, which only depicts a man from head till waist, and from the drawings in the back, the draped models, that they only drew and painted after draped models. that wouldn't change after Stallard became president. He would still give women only models draped or with the caleçon, which we discussed yesterday. But he took measures in 1895 when he became president to improve the women's situation. He provided them with excellent guidance by teacher Joseph van Severdonk and moved them to the former studio of Portaals in the academy. And this room was just perfect. It was empty and it was clearly lit. What do you want more as an artist? Apart from continuing to only provide draped models, Stallard also continued to separate the sexes. But he defended this choice as follows, and I quote, A. La présence des jeunes filles dans les classes des jeunes gens est une cause de trouble et de la distraction. 2. Les études sont entravées par suite de l'obligation de ne plus donner des modèles franchement nus. 3. D'autre part, il ne sera plus possible actuellement de réunir dans le même local les élèves des deux sexes, ils sont trop nombreux. 4. Enfin, il y a lieu de considérer aussi que, bien que des pères de famille n'ont permis à leurs filles de suivre les cours que depuis que le cours des dames est installé dans un atelier séparé. End quote. So you see, Stallard had to be pragmatic. Contemporary models prohibited women to study after the complete nude, while fathers didn't approve of their daughters to study alongside young men. Also, Stallard was very practical. The classroom is just too small. And this discussion reminds us of yesterday, where the women asked for a separate class in the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, as they weren't used to male presence. You have to imagine, and during that time, you were educated entirely separated from men. You hardly knew they existed. But the same goes for men, too. Apparently, when they introduced women in their class in 1889, the male students could not concentrate any longer on painting. Or, as the Antwerp Academy sneered, permitting the sexes to paint together after the nude has resulted in 2 marriages and in very mediocre art. Stallard's decisions are a mix of pragmatic and practical measures, but always with a firm will to provide women with good artistic education. And this led to a success. The number of young women in the class rose to 24. Unfortunately, it never says from what number it did rise. This success gave him the confidence to apply for the official installation of a nude model painting class. Early February 1896, he asked the City Council for subsidy for the next academic year, so starting from October 1896. Although the whole City Council was involved in these kinds of decisions, Stallard had to direct his application to Léon Lepage. The latter was a lawyer turned to politics, and that's something that we still hear today, and he was a member of the Brussels City Council since 1884, but he held the office as Alderman for Education and Fine Arts from 1895 until his death in 1909. He had the power, let me say. After his death, he was honored for his realizations. I couldn't find a picture of his, how he looked like, but this monument with his image of his face was only revealed in 1932, so almost 20 years after his dying. So it means that he did realize something and that he meant a lot, but that honor was certainly not for his support for women aspiring to become artists. Upon receiving Stallard's request for subsidy, Lepage reacted very negatively. He wrote to his assistant, and I quote, Le cours spécial pour jeunes filles va coûter beaucoup d'argent. Or, pour ce qu'elle produit d'utile et d'efficace, l'Académie nous coûte bien assez. D'ailleurs, cette mode d'assimiler toujours les filles aux garçons me paraît absurde. Chaque sexe a ses professions. Une jeune fille suivant des cours de peinture d'après nature me semble aussi extravagante qu'un jeune garçon suivant un cours de couture. Il peut y avoir des exceptions, mais elles sortiront bien de foule toutes seules et la ville n'a pas à organiser des cours pour les provoquer. End quote. We can see from this kind of statements that Lepage clearly believed that men and women fulfill different roles in society, and they should be educated according to these roles. Yet he didn't use this kind of answer, this kind of argument in his answer to Stallard. He wrote that the city council could not provide the academy with any additional money, and he put an ultimatum. The costs for this extra class should be covered by the fees of the female students. If not, the class was cancelled. The cost to officially install a woman's nude model painting class, oh, this is, by the way, the letter with this amazing quote. I love that. The cost to officially install the women's nude painting class amounted to 1,500 Belgian francs and were destined to supplement the payment of teacher van Severdonk. But not all 24 students in that class had to pay. Those who received a scholarship were exempted. But Stallard calculated only 10 students needed to pay a fee if that fee tripled from 45 Belgian francs a year to 130 Belgian francs a year. And the remaining 100 francs would come from another source. Apparently, I was wondering when I read these numbers, like, is this much? Is this little? Is this very extravagant? So I looked at private studios in Brussels. The private studio that you see here is the one from Blanc-Garret. Normal prices were 30 Belgian francs a month, not a year. And the one from Blanc-Garret was 60 to 70 Belgian francs a month per student. So that's much more than what the students had to pay in the academy. So the academy was actually relatively cheap. Anyway, Lepage and the city council said, okay, you can go, the official nude model painting class can start in 1896, and you can run this trial test for a year. If your costs get covered, the cours de peinture pour jeunes filles will continue the following year. If not, it is abolished. You can say Stallard had it all figured out by October, but he forgot one thing, the young women. Upon learning that the fees had tripled, several paying students left. Others who had previously paid the full amounts couldn't anymore. Stallard convinced the city council again. In his mind, every woman should be able to remain in the class. It was thus decided some weeks before Christmas that every student had to reapply for her scholarship, while others now could apply for one. In total, 17 students of about 20 students asked for a scholarship and provided information about their financial situation, former results, future plans, age, nationality, and address. Caroline Wood, of which you see the form here, she was the daughter of a single mom who works as a seamstress, already had accumulated several awards during the previous years. She was actually right on track to become a professional artist. Herself, she had very modest dreams. She wanted to become an art teacher and not an artist in that sense. Stallard pulled all requests in an overview, and he made also sure that most of his students were listed as artists, aspiring artists, and not as amateurs. And that would highlight the necessity of the course. But as you can see, the results were in by February, and 12 of the 17 students received a full or half scholarship. These people were all exempted from the fees, so they were never going to make the costs. On hearing that result, Lepage concluded, and I quote, you see it on the bottom left, "C'est fort bien. L'essai n'a donc pas réussi, nous le supprimerons." End quote. The City Council abolished the nude model painting course for women for the next academic year. If the women wanted to take such class, they were ought to join their fellow male students, just like in 1889. They did. But in October 1897, Stallard again contacted City Council, and I quote, "Alors, elles se sont présentées chez Monsieur Monton, où le nombre est devenu également trop gros pour pouvoir les placer convenablement devant le modèle. Pour cette raison, il m'a demandé de lui accorder un local celui du cours supprimé pour y placer une partie de ses élèves. C'est ce que j'avais permis, mais je m'aperçois qu'il n'y a placé rien que les jeunes filles qui peignaient d'après le modèle vivant. End quote. Stallard asked again to install an official cours de peinture pour jeunes filles, but this time the new teacher, Monton, wasn't expected to be given a raise on its salary. Of course, now the city council said, "Go for it. We don't have to give you any money." So they agreed. In the following years, most of the students, these women, left the academy. And Joy and I tried to find something if what they did afterwards. Had they become artists? Did they exhibit? Are still some of their works here today? A few of them exhibited, and we found their names in the salons catalogs. Clémence Hanap painted several flower still lifes, but it's not sure if she became an artist. For most women, nothing is known. And one of the difficulties to find these women now was the habit of changing their names after marriage. You remember Caroline Wood? Well, she got married to fellow artist Paul Cauchy, changed her name to Lina Cauchy, but we found her back and she realized her dream. She and her husband offered the following services mentioned on the walls of their self-invented or self-drawn house in Etterbeek, which is near Brussels. Décorateur, cours privé d'art appliqué, peinture, dessin, broderie d'art et applications diverses. She made her dream come true. I conclude. Through the correspondence between Joseph Stallard, president of the Brussels Academy, and Léon Lepage, alderman of the City Council, about installing an official nude model painting class for women, we have seen how Stallard wanted to provide women with a good art education in order to become professional artists. He was considerate about the morals of his time and practical. His adversary, let's name him that, Léon Lepage, on the other hand, thought women and men had different roles in society and should be educated accordingly. However, he never used this argument towards Stallard and hid behind financial reasons. This correspondence also reminds us as researchers and art historians not to blame too fast all men or all institutions, but also honor those men who stood by women as allies in their struggle to become professional artists. Thank you.
Okay. Merci beaucoup, Wendy Wiertz, pour votre communication qui offre un contrepoint européen très intéressant. On voit que les problématiques sont souvent semblables et les cas sont très intéressants. On va en reparler après.